Week 1 is our foot in the water. I clearly remember standing in a hot shower, letting warm spray wash away the choked tears of homesickness, thinking that someday I would know these girls by their voices, but today was not that day. We struggle to remember each other's names, and everyone hates the icebreakers. 4 months stretch into a shimmering infinity, the end far out of sight, across the horizon, around the bend, over the hill. We can't even imagine graduation. Someone explains to us what a chronicle is, and we trudge, lonely and silent, to our first solo in the icy cold. Week 3, we start to laugh more. We are told by so many we'll become sisters, so we try hard, too hard, to be comfortable with one another. Week 4, someone mentions that our semester is 1 quarter over, and everyone pretends not to hear. Week 7, the arguments start. Habits once found endearing become irritating. We love each other dearly at this point, but don't have the skills to deal with conflict. Something resolved by countless group meetings and a good number of passive-aggressive announcements at closing circle. Week 8, the snow finally melts for the first time, exposing defeated clumps of straw long buried by crushing whiteness, and I write the following in my chronicle after coffee house. Sometimes the sheer amount of joy these people bring me makes me sad because I could never hope to express how much they mean to me. This clash of emotion is seemingly always on the verge of splitting apart my fragile covering, light shining through the cracks and finally bursting out. I've always known that home can be an emotion rather than a place, and these girls and women make me feel home seemingly effortlessly. I cannot describe the feeling. It is too big and too bright to be contained by my very being, so I could never cage it in 26 letters. Week 9, we spend a night in tents, shivering in the cold but glad for the adventure. We commiserate running in the morning but push each other through it. This week, we give each other gratitude notes in jars, just the barest inkling of the love we feel. And we receive anonymous love letters on our pillows. We can feel time slipping through our grasp. Days pass like months, but weeks pass like days, and CSG is a little world unto itself. It could never, ever end. Week 10, we begin a list entitled, "You know you're at CSG when," with entries like, "When not wearing shoes is rebellious," and "When you have no idea how to act on a table of refreshments." We love each other fiercely. We run farther and faster in the bright morning sunshine. Buds appear on the trees, and with them come a sense of adventure and excitement. We have more outdoor classes, everyone shivering in the cold, but determined to stick it out to prove that spring really is here. Week 11 is expedition. We sit together on cliffs in the fog and talk about what it means to go home when we're already there. By now we're sisters. Week 12, and there's only a month left. Suddenly leaving seems almost immediate. With expedition behind us, the next big thing looking forward is graduation, and all of a sudden we're on our reluctant way out. Week 13, I look at the spot on the wall where our picture will hang, to be knocked down by a new, different group of people. And I feel crushingly sad. Week 14 marks the first of the lasts, our last gender studies class. It is met with impressive denial. I start sitting alone on a rock outside to watch the sunset and fill myself with memories of pink skies and bird calls so that I can always call on that piece when I need to. Hugs increase in length. No one wants to let go, but with 2 weeks left, the countdown attains a disorienting speed. I remind myself that no matter how much I wish it were not so, the sun will rise and the sun will set. I spend a lot of time looking around me, seeking to imprint upon my memory the smell of the farmhouse, the reverberating echo when you speak in the middle of the yurt, the feel of a particularly tight goodnight hug. Week 15, I make lists. Lists of songs to remember CSG by, lists of addresses, lists of what I love here. Lists I can control, and lists will stay with me. I think about 1 year ago, exactly, when I came to visit the farmhouse for the very first time. My mom said then that those girls probably felt like it was the end of the world, as close as it was to graduation, and I couldn't imagine then how right she would be. This week, I come crying into the bathroom at midnight, my heart torn asunder by a book, and those who are still awake pull me in tight and tell me it will be okay. I cry long after I am no longer heartbroken for the fiction, slowly realizing that in 1 week's time I will no longer have 13 shoulders to cry on in the middle of the night. I think a lot this week about spring and how slowly but surely buds begin to show. I think about how, after such a long winter, spring seems to appear so suddenly, and how it's much the same with friendship. Slowly at first, but then all at once, something in that farmhouse shifted and bloomed, became better and stronger. Week 16 is a week of contradictions, tears and hysterical laughter, exhaustion and activity, celebrations of birthdays and celebrations of endings. Jim hands out graded papers for the last time, his work done for the semester. As he slowly packs up, I loiter for a moment until blurting out, "You done did good." I do not know in this moment how else to say that I have never had a better math teacher and likely never will. After a moment, he replies, "I sure am glad you came here." I do not respond, afraid as I am that my voice will break like glass. The bunk room slowly loses color as belongings are taken away and stuffed haphazardly into bags. It is the cleanest it has ever been. There is a mildly terrifying sense of hurtling wildly towards something that I do not want to face. I try to hold the seconds in my grasp and restrain them, but anything I do only serves to make them race by faster, so I learn to savor, to remember, to really live in each moment so as not to waste even one. We fill our days with bustle, work to do, conversations to have, songs to rowdily sing, but as the sun falls, so does our energy, until it disappears, leaving us in ever-lengthening hugs, a loving tangle of limbs and beating hearts, desperate not to lay in bed alone with tears. Sleep becomes last priority, sitting cross-legged on the floor of the bathroom until exhaustion claims us, no longer able to keep our eyes from fluttering shut to stay. I cannot remember ever before feeling tragically sad at the end of the school year. To close out the semester, our teachers present us with books, chosen for us with intention and unimaginable love. It is the most meaningful thing I could be given, and there is nothing I can say in adequate thanks. I have to hope that my actions in the last 4 months can speak for me in this moment when my words have all but run dry. Later, we spin in bittersweet circles as our sparklers blink out one by one, and Anne, Liz, and Vanessa dance with us, not as chaperones, but as kindred spirits. It occurs to me that no teachers have ever loved me so much or poured so much of themselves into what they do, made me feel as though I could shine quite this brightly, and I wonder if they know how much they have changed my life. Someone wise once said that if you add two infinities together, the sum is greater than what you started with. Ergo, some infinities are greater than other infinities. When, those short months ago, I pulled into this gravel driveway to stay, I did not know that I would call this place home. I did not anticipate the fierce, joyous love awakened when you watch the world wake up from winter. I did not understand the power 4 months could have. CSG has been a little infinity unto itself, and I am eternally grateful. Oh boy. So before I came to CSG, I don't think I had ever really thought about what home meant to me, because home was just really instinctual. It felt really natural. I had never really experienced home as something divorced from place, because there was only one place that I had ever felt really at home, and it was this little yellow bungalow in suburban Massachusetts where my dog and my family lived, and that was the only place that I could ever really call home. So I never had to dig into the question of what home meant, because I knew in theory that home could be something that you felt rather than some place that you were, but I never experienced it necessarily before I came to CSG. And so when I came here, everything about this place was intentional. None of it was instinctual. All of it was intentional, including the home that was made here. And so almost as soon as I got here, I started to feel really at home here, like with all the, with everything that comes with that word, because home is a really heavy word, but I started to feel really at home here with all the sense of belonging that entails, and all of the family and the love and the laughter and the happiness and the safety and having a warm roof and all of those things. And that was kind of confusing for me at first, because I had never experienced home as separate from Chelmsford, Massachusetts. So researching this talk, I mean, I didn't research very much, it was whatever, but I looked up the etymology of the word home, and the Norse root of the word home is literally translated to mean the world. And I started thinking about what home meant to me, and I realized that even though I had only ever necessarily experienced one home before I came to CSG, that wasn't because home could not be more than one place. It was just happened to be how I had experienced that concept in the past. But I realized when I was looking at that root, it meant that home could be wherever you made a family, and you can make a family anywhere in the world. And especially nowadays, you can have family worldwide. And families can change and shift and expand and move around, and that means that homes can too. And I think I learned a lot here about how to create very intentional homes for other people and for myself, because it takes a lot of work. It's really hard sometimes you're not having a very good day and you have to remember to talk to other people and not to just retreat into a little bubble. And you have to interact and you have to go through your day and keep other people in mind. You're right, you don't have to. You could not, but in the context of creating a safe and loving community. And that work is powerful because when people have a place that they can really call home and that they can feel safe and comfortable in, that enables them to worry about other things. They don't have to worry about their first level of safety. They can worry about creating art and expanding and creating change in the world, and that enables other people to do the things that you want to do. And I think that CSG gave me really, really powerful tools to create homes for other people in other places and to create really loving communities wherever I go. So, thank you.